recording on Roundball Roundup with the general manager of the Salt Lake City Stars, Katie Benzan, on Roundball Roundup. Katie, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So, I want to get into the incredible year Salt Lake City Stars are having. Winning Showcase Cup, having so many wins, Rick Higgins. This team is amazing, and I get a front row seat to it on home games. But I want to get a little bit about your background and being a player. Where did the love of basketball start for you?
Honestly, there's a running joke in my family that I learned to play basketball before I learned to walk. So I come from a basketball family. My mom played, my older brother played. It was just our family dinners growing up, sitting in front, watching the Celtics, watching LeBron James and Steph Curry, those championship final runs, consecutive years, how many, whatever it was. But so the love for the game really started with my family. But then as I grew older, I entered college at Harvard and then Maryland. I started to carve my own path. And that was really cool to see how all the hours paying off and being able to play at such a Power 5 conference, playing for a legendary coach of Brett Freeze, just was honestly surreal.
What is it about basketball that drew you in?
I think honestly, at first, it was something that I could share with my mom. I'm extremely close with her. But I am just naturally a competitive person. I honestly, when I was younger, every loss, I used to cry after it. I was like bawling my eyes out. And and I still remember those days. But I just loved the opportunity to play and to win. And I did play other sports, but there was just something about basketball, how I was so underestimated because I was small, that just lit a fire for me that just hasn't burned out to this day.
Being short is a constant fight for credibility.
It really is.
That's how I've seen the world as a short person.
It really is, especially when I meet like other students or just people who don't know much about basketball. The first thing they know is, oh, basketball equals tall and height. And so whenever I meet someone new, they're like, oh, you played? You played in college? Wait, is that correct? Are you sure about that? And so for me, just experiencing that reaction over and over and over again, it just added to the fuel to say, yes, I actually did play basketball. Yes, if I can pat myself on the back, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, you were a baller. You were a baller. So describe your game for people who haven't seen it. What were you when you were playing?
That's a great question because I feel as though at my multiple stops along the journey, I played different roles on the team.
Sure.
So at first, I am known as a shooter because I set a couple of records, but I see myself as a point guard. I love to facilitate and set up my teammates. I find as much joy in my teammates scoring than I do my own self, to be totally honest. So for me, it's just pushing the ball, getting into the paint and finding my teammates, and then if the defense leaves me open, then keeping them honest.
Do you think that influences the way you view your job now, being a former point guard?
I think it definitely adds to how I aim to build a roster. Because I've been underestimated. I don't easily cross some names off the board, and I try to do a little bit more research about why there are certain perceptions around guys. And then it's also, I am competitive. I am tough. I want to be surrounded by those similar people. So we really strove to look for toughness, for physicality, and then for skill sets. Rick has done a great job of taking multiple different skill sets from Sean East, who loves to play fast and has that knockdown floater, to Matt Morrell and John Tonje, who are defenders and extremely physical, to Oscar, we know as the rebounding machine he is. And so we've had all these different pieces, and Rick has done a great job of putting the puzzle together.
So you play college basketball at Harvard in Maryland, but then you claim the Crows with the Washington Mystics. What was it like to have that opportunity as a profession?
Honestly, it was unexpected at first. When I received the call from Mike Thibault, at first I was like, who is this random number? And then I picked it up, hello? And they're like, hey, do you want to drive down to DC and come join training camp and play with Elena Deladon and Natasha Cloud and Alicia Clark? I'm like, you're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
But I just approached that experience as a sponge. I just wanted to go in there and try to learn as much about the game as possible, from the legendary names I've already learned, but even just across the board around that organization.
Is it cool to see what the W has become and how explosive the game has gotten to, where everybody has at least a cursory knowledge of the league that is, I don't think you could say that 20 years ago.
No, definitely. I love watching that. Just seeing how the league has been so front facing in the media nowadays, and just seeing how their hard work is paying off and how they are making political, social stances, and it's moving. The
experience with the Mystics leads you to trying to find another opportunity beyond basketball, and you shift to the front office role. You become a basketball generalist with Utah Jazz. Mm-hmm. I think we've discussed how a phone call with Justin Zanuck led to the opportunity, but then you get added more responsibility as you prove yourself. Down the line, you're an assistant general manager, and then now the general manager for the Salt Lake City Stars. What have you learned about the outside non-player role, being in the front office, after having that player experience, in professional basketball?
Well, honestly, I've learned that there's definitely more to what happens between the lines. A lot of it could be the people management of it. A lot of it could be the contract negotiation and in convincing players to come join Salt Lake City and Utah Jazz organization, and basically just telling them how great it is. And that's not a hard thing to do. But it's also just the grind that happens behind the scenes of watching hours of film, of building your own opinion of players, whether that's for the G League, whether that's within the draft, whether that's free agency or at the trade deadline. There are definitely multiple levels of it. And it's honestly a fun challenge because you are aiming to find the hidden gem, right? Everyone knows Steph Curry, Ant Edwards, Shea are good basketball players. If you rewind, I don't know how many years now, 5 years, you couldn't say the same about Shea.
Right.
About Jokic, even Steph coming out of Davidson, he had that fantastic run, but before that, he wasn't a huge name at the time. So to find those players that have the unique backgrounds, or is maybe you see them being used in a different role that apply better to their strengths, that's just a fun intellectual challenge that I've enjoyed so far.
Well, and I also left out another part of your responsibilities as manager of pro scouting, right? Like there's another role added to general manager of the Salt Lake City Stars. How would you describe the job of manager of pro scout?
So that's watching a lot of NBA basketball. Darn it. Yeah. What a hard task to be asked to do. But So I watch NBA games every single night, and I try to find those hidden gems on NBA rosters. Just across the board, just trying to find those players that either at the trade deadline or in the summer that we can exploit.
Well, and this is something that I asked you, like during the Jazz season and a Jazz game, how many people you just know on two-way contract, being the Salt Lake City Stars general manager. You have the 450 in the NBA. That's already baked in. But then add into that two-way players, 3 people on every team. Not every team uses all 3, but that's an additional add to the people that you already know. It's a lot that you have to keep tabs on.
It's a lot, it is. And sometimes I do run a blank that I'm like, oh, shoot, who is that player? Where does he play? But I do try to keep just a Google Doc running list of my thoughts and just trying to be as organized as possible.
How have you seen your scouting eye advance since coming into the front office for Deep Talk Kids?
One huge area that I've definitely grown in is the projection aspect of it, especially on the draft side. My first year, I was just evaluating these players' games based on what I see in the college game or overseas internationally. Now I'm really taking the next step of, okay, now I see their role, but how can we use that under Will Hardy, under Rick Higgins, and how can we get them into our program and develop their game? Because honestly, we've been a young team, but the nature of the draft is there are a lot of 18, 19-year-olds, and they're not even grown men yet, let alone finished products on the basketball court. So a lot of it's diving into their character as well. Are they hard workers? Are they good people? Are they tough? Are they competitive? Do they see themselves as finished products because they've received millions of dollars on the NIL circuit? Mm-hmm. Or are they still hungry for this NBA journey, for an NBA championship or whatever it may be?
Because it seems like even they're getting more professionalized earlier that these players have already been pros for a couple years before they even landed the Utah Jazz.
Yes.
When you look at the Stars, it's been a magnificent year. Winning showcase, having the opportunity in Orlando for a Mo Bamba to get signed with the Toronto Raptors. What's it been like to be along the journey? Start with showcase, because it had to have been awesome to see the team win showcase and do it like through a team that was undefeated, a team that you had already seen in the Stockton Kings a bunch of times, and then a new team with Maine.
It was maybe the most nervous I've ever been in my basketball career. Just sitting on the sidelines watching those 3 games.
And you can't affect the score, right? You're just watching. You can't directly affect what's happening on the floor.
And I think that's why I was so nervous. Yeah. The butterflies were fluttering, for sure. But I also trusted in the roster we built, in our coaching staff. It was just fun to see them approach each game differently, because it's a different game plan, but also with the ultimate joint goal of either earning $100,000 from players or some more stipend towards the staff. And it was funny, the last maybe 5-ish games leading up to the showcase, every huddle we broke down was 100K. Every single one. And just to see those guys band together, regardless of Mo Bamba with his NBA experience to Hank Morgan from a D3 college, like we had the extremes of each side to just band together and aim for this goal. And then not only beating an undefeated team, but blowing them out and making a stamp on that win was just, I loved witnessing that whole thing just for the guys, because we all saw them come in July and start putting in the work then. Like, to just see them host that trophy up there is just surreal.
It's cool to see Max Asmus win MVP. My end, it was his first year, was last year, my first year. See him stick through it, be on the team, and then he wins the MVP at the big game because it's the final. He scores a 20 plus. How gratifying is it to see people who were part of the organization last year? Not many returners in the G League. You know, that's the nature of it. Mm-hmm. Things change. See them get those opportunities and win the showcase.
It was awesome because we really needed Max in that game. He added such a spark off the bench that was just necessary, and I don't know where we would be without him. Not only in that one game, but just across the board. But just seeing his growth from last year has been really cool to see. I've gotten to know him as a close friend of talking football or talking basketball. Like, he's just a fun guy to be around outside of basketball. And then we're very similar in the sense that he's also known as a small point guard and can also shoot the ball. So we definitely have some similarities where we can joke with each other about, oh, they should never go under those screens or whatever the case is. But just to see him go off in front in that stage was just, I don't even have a word for it. It was just so meaningful.
What was the celebration like?
So I lucked out immediately after the game, where after we received the trophy, Max received his trophy, everybody headed back to the locker room. I forgot my backpack out on the court, so I turned around and had to go get my backpack. But then I walked back into the locker room and everybody's soaked. and I'm just thinking inside my head, I was like, that's a silver lining of me forgetting my backpack.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But everybody was just screaming at the top of their lungs, just so over the moon of, we did it.
Mo Bamba earns an NBA call-up after showcase. 20th in Stars program history. What's it like to be a part of his journey in getting back to the league?
It was cool in the sense that Mo and I are the same age. I think we are maybe 8 days apart, I think. If I remember correctly, we're both May babies.
No.
And so to grow up alongside him, then see him in the NBA, and then calling him for the first time, talking about how he's buying a house in Austin or whatever it is, and then getting to know him as a man, he was the most respectful, kind person, with especially the stereotype of a former NBA player coming to play in the G League. It's my first time as a GM. I just didn't know what to expect. And he just exceeded all assumptions, expectations. So I was just over the moon for him that he has that chance to go play in the NBA again. Truly believe he deserves it.
And how does having him on the team help Hank Morgan, other people who want that, know that he was able to pass 7 years in the NBA, come on the G League team, and still contribute at a high level?
Well, he took on that mentor leader role seamlessly. He knew that it was going to be a little bit different, especially with Hank and Max Klesmit. But he honestly took it to heart about preaching about his own experience, about how to help these guys both on and off the court. And then even when we had Cody and Taylor, he was a mentor and leader for them as well. He just had a great voice of being able to keep guys accountable, but also show them love.
What's it been like to see the support from the Jazz? I was in Denver for the final, and people were still tuning in. What is happening in this game? What is happening this final? We've got tip-off in 30 minutes. Like, people were still keeping up with it, even though they were in Denver ostensibly preparing for a game.
Oh no, my phone was blowing up. It was, are we ready? Are the guys ready? Yes. We're playing an undefeated team. Do we have a good game plan? Yes. But it was just fun to see everybody pour into the stars, and sometimes the G League does run under the radar, and just to see from across the board, from Austin and Avery catching a red eye to catch that first main game, to all the texts I'm receiving from training staff, from coaches, from media, PR, like everyone around the organization. It's just been fun to see that we're not alone. We develop in the G League, and to just see that investment not only in resources or tangibly, but also just emotionally was awesome.
I want to talk about the two-way players before we let you go, because they've had great moments with the Stars. John Tanje's first professional season. How have you seen him grow from day one to where he's at now as nearly a 40% three-point shooter?
The way he approaches each day, you can see why he's grown so quickly. Every day he walks in with a smile on his face. He says hello to practically everybody as he walks by. And then he immediately hits the weight room with a sense of relentlessness and urgency that he's gotten stronger, which you can see on the defensive end, but also that same mindset is applied when he finally hits the court before practice. He religiously gets his shots up. He religiously attacks each challenge in front of him. And then behind the scenes, he diligently watches basketball, whether it's with a coach or without a coach. And you can just see each aspect of his game grow because he consciously applies himself to each area.
How helpful has the Wisconsin cadre been to helping him adjust to Salt Lake, thinking about Steve Crow, Max Buzzman?
Those three are definitely the three musketeers.
Yeah.
If you see two without one, you're like, what's wrong? It's something happened. But I think it's been extremely helpful because it just adds an element of comfort, especially for all three of them play professional basketball for his first time. Yeah. But with John being drafted, he literally flew in by himself. He showed up at that first dinner by himself. So to just have his buddies with college memories to just maybe bet to bounce things off with, to play video games, whatever it was, it has definitely helped him personally of just finding his footing in a new city, on a new team, in a professional world he's never experienced before.
Elijah Harkless has been relied on scoring the ball. He's been defensively insane when he's with the Jazz. What's it been like to see him up close?
I've loved getting to know EJ because he embodies the word dog. He attacks everyone in front of him. It doesn't matter your size, your weight, who you are. If he's friends with you, it does not matter to him. And just to see that element of toughness and competitiveness, it shows up in different ways. With his role on the Jazz, it's let me go guard Jaylen Brown and shut him down. Mm-hmm. Then with us, it's, okay, I'm going to go drop 40 and push us over the edge. So for him to just be that adaptable is also points to his toughness, because that versatility is in nature extremely difficult to manage.
What was your reaction to him drawing the offensive foul on Jaylen Brown early this year for the Jazz? Rick said, I expected it. I've seen it 1,000 times. It doesn't really surprise me. What was your reaction to seeing it?
I can't say I expected it, but I have seen it multiple times.
Right.
That being said, when he strategically did that, I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Yes, EJ!" At the time, it was on my computer. And I just couldn't stop screaming, because that was just such a clutch, sacrificial play. Like, he put his body on the line.
Yeah. Against an all-NBA player. What is it about EJ's defensive end that separates him? I think anybody, it's kind of like Shea, good. When you watch the game and you see the way he defends, it leaps off the page. What is it that you see that he's doing that is really exceptional?
JP, I think it's not honestly multifaceted. First, he is the athlete that's physically capable of sliding with point guards to wings. Then he's physical and strong enough to get into the body and initiate and dictate where he wants the handler to go. And then he's also smart enough to navigate ball screens, to figure out what this guy's weakness is, and then let's push him towards that side, that move. So he thinks the game not just, okay, I'm going to stay between basket and ball. It's, okay, this guy can't go left, so I'm going to force him left. Okay, when he does go left, he often settles for a step back, so I'm going to be ready for that. This guy foul baits often when he goes to the rim, so I'm going to create space. It's just, his brain is just constantly moving, where you can see clearly his impact of just being a pest, and no one wants to see EJ right in front of him.
Right. That's a really interesting way to describe it, because people think offensive game, the thinking and processing of it, but defensively, for him to scan through everything, it's equally as impressive what he's able to do on that side of the floor. That's a good way of looking at it.
It's also not just that he's thinking, but he's also processing extremely fast.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane. It's insane what he's able to do. And when I was there to watch it live, the Jaylen Brown offensive foul, the noise in the building, the building was going crazy, and he still has the presence of mind to do something like that. Finish up with Oscar, who is a ray of sunshine. The guy...
That's a great way to put it.
The guy, when you're ever around him, when you see immediate availability from him, it makes your day better. He is the rebounding champ in the G League from last year. He continues to do it. Where has he taken steps this season? Because he's played the 4 when he was alongside Boban.
I think even that in itself was an adjustment for Oscar to play next to another big. So just learning, the spacing of the floor, where to find his spots, and then just honestly rebounding, right? He's rebounding next to a 7-footer with a 7'9" wingspan. But Oscar will always be Oscar. His motor remains as high as ever. His kindness, his compassion off the floor remains high as ever. And then just honestly going back to the basketball, his physicality will just always be a constant. So despite adversity, Oscar is extremely consistent and reliable. And I think that's honestly his best asset.
Is there a difference between Glasses Oscar and No Buff Oscar? It's got the glasses look now.
He's rocking it.
He is.
And I honestly never knew that he needed glasses. So I'm glad he took the initiative to go after and get it. But I just think the funniest aspect, because he plays so physical and guys are hitting his arms and everything, it's just the glasses are another victim. And the lenses always pop out.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, whenever I see our trainer run out on the floor and they like quickly fix it and then he puts it on, and then more often than not, he was walking up to the foul line to knock 2 free throws down. And I'm like, good that we got those glasses fixed. But I don't necessarily see a difference. I just have fun with it. Sometimes teasing him, but also just, I'm glad he can see to his best ability now.
4 eyes are better than 2, is what I've learned.
I mean, as someone who wears contacts, yes.
Okay. There you go.
Yes.
Stars General Manager and Manager of Pro Scouting, Katie Benzan. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.